Back again, this time fantasy focus for game week 30. This is where I break down the players most likely to deliver in front of goal, transfers worth considering, clean sheet prospects, and of course the best captaincy pick for this game week. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, firstly we're going to go with goal involvements, and starting off with Haaland at the top of the list. 71% chance of scoring or assisting in this game week. He's coming off a blank in game week 29 against Forest at the Etihad. Now that's 2 blanks in a row given he was out in game week 28. It's not normally something that you mention or you use against him, but when Haaland costs 14.6 million, I mean, it is something worth considering. You don't want your player blanking any week when he costs that much. His predicted points for the next 5 is 32.6, but he is due to blank in game week 31. So if Haaland's fit, for me, he's not going anywhere. I'm not getting rid of him. He can't be written off just yet. I know he's blanked in a couple of game weeks. He's not done amazingly well in the last couple of weeks, but it's Haaland. And I just can't see where I'd spend the funds elsewhere. Next up, we've got Thiago. He faces Wolves at home. He's a 63% chance of scoring or assisting. He blanked in game week 29 versus Bournemouth. He recorded just 0.04 expected goal involvement in a full 90 minutes. He's been a poor transfer for me, but I'm not sure I'd do it any differently. His fixtures are still good. He's got Wolves, Leeds, Everton and Fulham in his next 4. So we just got to hope that he gets a penalty, he gets something like that. He gets a lucky break, he gets a goal and maybe an assist. And yeah, suddenly he's got a double-digit haul. But so far he's picked up a couple of returns and that's about it for Thiago. So yeah, a little bit disappointing, but the fixtures have been good and that's the reason why I selected him. Just hopefully he can get a return in his next 4 game weeks. Then you got João Pedro. He's on the list with 55% chance. He's playing at Stamford Bridge versus Newcastle. He's most certainly due to start and he's probably the most informed player in the game right now. And he's predicted 27.1 points over the next 5 game weeks. Then we got Ekitike and Salah. They're up against Spurs at Anfield. Given Spurs' form, is probably a likely win for Liverpool. Salah has picked up some form. He scored in his last 2 outings in the league and the cup. Given Haaland's form, maybe there's a chance to go a little bit differential. Take out Haaland, take out another midfielder, maybe Rice because he blanks in game week 31. Put in Salah, maybe get Ekitike as well because they've got Spurs at home and we know how poor Spurs have been this season. Alright, so let's now move on to transfers in. And we've got João Pedro at the top of the list. He's been brought in by over 279,000 managers. And as I mentioned, in the goal involvement, it's no surprise. He's managed to get 76 points in 8 game weeks. He's now the second highest scoring forward in the game, surpassing Thiago. He's got Newcastle at home, Everton away, and then City. So the fixtures aren't easy, but he is likely to start them all. I can't see Delap starting any of those games. Chelsea need to make Champions League. And João Pedro is the informed player. So yeah, the fixtures aren't easy, but we thought that when Chelsea had Aston Villa and João Pedro went and got a 19-pointer. Next up is Senesi. Senesi has Burnley away. He also recorded a clean sheet versus Brentford in game week 29. He is a good pick. I had him somewhere in the middle of the season, but personally, I'd be going for James Hill now. He gets DEFCON, will get the same clean sheets as Senesi, and he's certain to start for Bournemouth. And he's recorded 32 points in his last 4 games. And most importantly, he's 0.8 million cheaper. So yeah, so if you're considering going for your centre side, just have a look at James Hill, look at his points totals, look at his DEFCONs. Yeah, he's doing really well. And like I said, he's 0.8 million cheaper and you can use that elsewhere. Next up is Semenyo. Now I've got him in and I've been fortunate enough to pick up all his returns since he moved to City. So he's definitely a good player for FPL. However, he now blanks next game week in game week 31. After City beat Newcastle in the FA Cup, it now means that game week 31 is a confirmed blank for City, which means that you're transferring him in for 1 game week against West Ham, and then you most likely, if you've got other players from Arsenal, Palace or Wolves, that you're likely going to have to transfer Semenyo back out. So it seems to me like it's a bit of a waste of a transfer now. You may not need to transfer him out next week. By all means, bring him in, but yeah, just be mindful next week he blanks, so you're going to have to consider moving him on to field a full 11 next week. Then we've got Anderson transferred in by over 107,000 managers, and yeah, this guy has been brilliant for me. 12 points away at City, almost guaranteed Defcon every week, and now he looks like he's a little bit more involved in attacking play for Forest. So yeah, he's a great buy. What is he, 5.5 million? One player you just have to play every week because he's pretty much going to guarantee you at least 3 or 4 points from playing 90 minutes and Defcon contributions. If Forest don't concede too many goals, he'll get the 4 points, and then hopefully he'll get a return there as well to boost his points. So yeah, he's been Mr. Consistent for me. Actually, the first time I've dropped him was against City. Fortunately, I had him as first on the bench because I thought he would do better than Chris Richards would, and it turned out to be right. And fortunately, Anderson from Fulham was on the bench, didn't come on, and I got his 12 points. So I was fortunate there. I won't make that same mistake again. Anderson is probably going to be in my team until the end of the season, and he's going to start every game. All right, let's move on to transfers out, and Rodgers is at the top of this list, which is not a surprise to me, but considering his fixtures, it is. Over 202,000 managers have transferred him out this game week. I'm not too sure about it. Like I said, his fixtures aren't bad. He's got Man United away, which isn't a terrible fixture. Man United can concede goals. He doesn't blank in game week 31, which is really important. He's got West Ham at home in that game week. Then he's got Nottingham Forest away, Sunderland at home, and then Fulham. So yeah, 4 or 5 really good fixtures. I know he's blanked in the last few game weeks, but surely there's other fires that you have to put out elsewhere. Seems a bit of a luxury transfer to me. There are a lot of players that are blanking in game week 31. Like I said, Arsenal players, Crystal Palace players, Wolves players, and City players. Surely you could hold Rodgers for a little longer and move on the players that are blanking in game week 31 instead. Van der Ven's suspended. He's been transferred out by over 159,000 managers. That makes completely sense. And the same as Roof's, 154,000 managers have transferred him out. He is injured, and I would assume that would be the reason why Kelleher is on my transferred in list. He makes the top 8 because I imagine most managers are moving from Roofs to Kelleher. Haaland is on this list. 118,000 managers have moved him on. I mean, I kind of understand it. I get it. He has been disappointing. He hasn't got many returns recently, but it's Haaland. Like, I just can't see where I'm moving to. Like, the player I'd probably move Haaland onto would be Ekitike, but Ekitike is blanked in what are on paper really easy fixtures. His last game week 29, he blanked against Wolves, didn't do anything. An expected goal involvement of 0.45, got 2 points. He did play West Ham in game week 28 and got 15 points, but Haaland's playing West Ham this game week. Yes, it's away from home, but you could easily expect Haaland to get something against West Ham away. That's not a big problem for him. Then Ekitike, Nottingham Forest away, Sunderland away. He blanked in both of those games. So yeah, Haaland to Ekitike, I mean, it makes sense. Ekitike has Tottenham at home. Tottenham are struggling. They're poor defensively, but Ekitike blanked against Wolves away, and he's blanked against Burnley at home as well. So there's no guarantee that Ekitike is going to do any better than Haaland. So for me, I'm just going to stick with Haaland and hope that the differential, the fact that people are moving him on, makes him a little bit more of a differential. And if Haaland does return, then I get those points and I move up the ranks. All right, looking at game week 30 clean sheet odds, and we've got Arsenal at the top of the list, 55% chance of a clean sheet. They face Everton at the Emirates. Triple Arsenal defence paid off last week. Everton's 1.18 expected goals per 90 gives me hope that Arsenal can do that again. Brentford are second with a 43% chance of keeping a clean sheet. They face Wolves at home. Wolves have definitely improved, but away from home they've got 0.7 expected goals per 90. So it should be a good enough reason to play Brentford players if you do have them. Other notable mentions are Palace play Leeds at home. Munoz has been pictured in training after his injury to his shoulder in the win versus Spurs. Plus, Maxence Lacroix is back from suspension, so that should mean they are at full strength at their back. I'm tempted to play Richards. He's currently on my bench because I've got the triple up in Arsenal defence. I've got Gabriel and Timber, Raya in goal, and then I also have Van Dijk. But Leeds at home, although it's not an easy fixture, Palace are at home. They have a full strength defence, so it could be a good chance to get a clean sheet there. All right, moving on to captaincy picks, and Haaland is top of the list, 7.5 points expected. He should be due to start. He did play the full 90 versus Forest, so I don't see any concerns there. Unless Pep outright says he's out, then I'm not moving him on, as I mentioned earlier on. The more managers that sell him makes him more of a differential, despite how small that difference might be. Gabriel is another option given his 11-pointer versus Brighton, but to me it's just so risky. I did the triple captaincy and I just couldn't watch the games. It was horrible. So yeah, to make Gabriel captain again, I mean, I don't think I could do that. Then Bruno is the alternative to Haaland. Home tie versus a struggling Villa side who conceded 4 at home to Chelsea. Bruno also got bonus points versus Newcastle despite being on the losing side. So he's just got so many routes to points. Bruno does have the home fixture over Haaland, who has the away fixture. So that's another reason to go with Bruno if you want to go a bit differential. As you can see there, he's 40% owned as opposed to Haaland, who's 61% owned. And that wraps up your fantasy focus for game week 30. Goal threats, clean sheets and captaincies all covered. If this helped, drop a like, and if you're new, subscribe for next week's breakdown, and team selection will be uploaded before the deadline. If you missed transfer targets for game week 30, that should be popping up now. Let me know how your team's shaping up in the comments. I'd love to hear what you're planning. Good luck this week, green arrows, and enjoy the football.